The Newcomer, page 53. Expecting this response, Louise was not angered by his command, for she had heard it before. However, she did not know that this charge was not filled with the same confusions that her other charges had been. Waiting for him to quiet himself, she repositioned herself on her cushion. Registering through the din of the charge's disordered mind came the dainty tingling of her niece's ankle bracelets. The tinkling reminded him of the beauty that traveled from the swirls in her jeweled hair to the sparkling diamonds in her toe rings. He mumbled a half-hearted command for her to leave. Then he sat for a moment before saying his name. When he looked up, she said, "Tell me again that you want me to leave, and I shall leave." She placed her hand on his knee and said, "But I think that I can help you more if I stay." Noting that her allusion to intercourse had been received, she continued, "If you want me to help you," she said, "then say my name." Her demand called Terry's power control bluff. Terry quieted with the promise of a game, but he wanted control. "You say my name first," he raised the nieces a bit. Denise liked defiance. What had started as another dutiful indoctrination was becoming interesting. She smiled at him coyly, thinking about the possibilities, and checked herself. Where there was defiance, there was intelligence. There was no such thing as an intelligent charge. They were trained sheep. Logic returned as she gained her defiance another name, inherent male ego. In order to continue, she dismissed her prejudice, conceded, and said his name. Terry watched the word flow from her liquid mouth and down her chin and neck before pooling in the cleavage of her straining breasts. With dreams of copulation, the niece withdrew into her cushion, waiting for his response. Though engorging, her teasing carried affirmation that he had been searching for. He and my matrix were on common ground. She wanted him as much as he wanted her. "Now," he said with quiet authority, "you are to say my name, my Terry." The niece's dreaming eyes widened, her calm threatened by his patience. The charge was trying to manipulate her. That was supposed to be her card. Rubbing the tension from her forehead, she thought of her next move, for a charge couldn't possibly know how to manipulate a matrix. Manipulation was also an intelligent trait. A charge is not capable of this maneuver either. She leaned in towards him, steadied herself on her arm, and brought her shoulder forward to allow her jishiki to fall. "My Terry," she whispered, and slowly sat back up. The glimpse of her naked shoulder began to melt Terry's control when old's teachings invaded his struggle. Self-preservation, she used to say, is achieved through confidence. Always maintain control. Terry's power returned. Rising to his knees, he moved in closer to my matrix, his manhood parallel to her face as he crept towards her. When he could feel the warmth from her breath through the cool silk of his loincloth, he stopped. My matrix's nostrils widened as she drank in the sight. Her lips parted as her breathing quickened. Maintaining his position, he reached towards her chin to lift her gaze upwards. Looking down into her eyes, he said, "My matrix," then let her chin fall. Heavy eyelids fell across her eyes. When she opened them, she found that Terry was sitting cross-legged on his own cushion. Embarrassed by her surrender, the niece cleared her throat, squirming a bit as her hands rubbed down her thighs. She feigned a tickle in her throat to mask the low groan that escaped at the feel of her own touch and the musk of Terry's promise. While she regained her composure, Terry remained patient. When she finally looked back at him, he smiled. She couldn't help but smile back. She'd found a charge on equal footing to her own needs, and she wasn't going to let the way take that from her. Terry's questions spilled and were safely absorbed. No more challenges were given, no all power forgotten, as the niece sought superiority in the role of teacher, and Terry gained knowledge of himself and the niece. After our talk is over, you won't be going back to safe room anymore. A new room has been prepared for you, she explained. It is called a temp room. Temp room? Yes, temp room. It's bigger than safe room and has cushions like these along with a futon for you to sleep on. A futon? Terry forced a new word through his front teeth and bottom lip. Then he smiled. Yes, she said, a futon. There's a toilet in the room. The toilet matrix will no longer come for you so that you may have your privacy. Privacy? The niece exhaled. Privacy is being able to take care of certain needs without observation, she said, and explained further before he asked what observation meant, without being watched over. The server matrices will ask permission before they can enter temp room. Ask permission? There were so many terms that Terry didn't understand. Temp room is equipped, the niece started, then made her words simpler. Temp room has a talking device. She stumbled with her words. She didn't have to explain nearly as much to other charges. They accepted what she said and were dismissed. Finally, she stopped trying to over-explain and finished. There's an intercom in temp room. A voice calls to you and says, the lunch matrix is here, may I enter? You then say, yes, you may enter, or no, you may not enter. The voice will then ask when she can enter, or will ask you to sit on your cushion so that she may enter. Does that make sense? Sense? Anise rolled her eyes. Do you understand? Terry did not answer. He was having fun listening to my matrix grapple with her words. He released her from her misery, but not before adding one more joke. May I have my toilet matrix? Then he shook her head and rose while telling him to follow her. She took him to a private toilet near the doctor's office. Are you coming in with me? Terry asked, knowing that she wasn't, but he teased her anyway. No, Terry, she exasperated. I trust that no harm will come to you. Outside the closed door, the niece switched on a monitor and watched Terry relieve himself. When he was through, he wiped his hands on one of the toilets he found on the shelf of the toilet and then walked towards the door carrying the toilet. The niece turned off the screen and the door opened. I don't know what to do with this, he said, holding up the crumpled cloth. The niece went to him, pointing inside the bathroom. It goes in there, she said, pointing to the cycle can. He threw it in, then followed the niece back into the interview room. The niece felt that she explained more than enough for one day. He closed the interview with explanations of masturbation before reminding Terry the last procedure of his medical examination, the sperm sample. If you would like, I can perform the procedure, she offered. No, Terry replied. It will be done without my matrix present. Any remaining questions were asked for. To the niece's relief, there were none. The meeting was over. In the doorway, Terry stopped my matrix to study her face one more time. He committed to memory her high cheekbones, her small sloping nose, her full smiling lips, her cavernous green eyes, and her thick auburn hair, which she wore swept up high and laced with rubies and emeralds. Staring into her green mirrors, he asked, Will I see you again? Anise blinked off the hold that Terry's black eyes commanded. With closed eyes, she swallowed hard, berating herself for misplaced lust. He's a charge like any other charge, she reminded herself, then opened her eyes. I have answered that question before, she said with quiet authority. Her answer satisfied him, and so did the time it took for my matrix to compose herself back in detached superiority. He passed by her, and he was placed in Dr. Diana's care. Ooh.